Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Leadership Live with JJ Hardy and me, Chris Piankowski. JJ, how you doing today?
Man, I'm alive and well. How are you?
Doing great. It's Friday. It's only about 70 degrees here in Philly, so nice kind of spring-like day. Getting ready for a graduation party this weekend for my oldest son, so going to be a busy weekend.
Oh man, that's a ooh, it's gotta hit the soul a little bit.
Yeah.
And you caught me out in the weeds, man. I was out in the garden right before I started this call.
Well, I did a bunch of gardening last week over Memorial Day weekend, so I got caught up. But those weeds never stop growing. You always have to be out there getting those things out of the garden.
Yep. If you want your good stuff to grow, you got to get rid of those.
That's right. So, JJ, our topic for today is confidence. It's huge for leaders, and I just want to break it down. Very simple, is that confidence is a belief in one's ability and judgment. Like, that's the simplest definition there is of confidence. But let's talk about, what does that mean from a leadership standpoint? Why is confidence so important when you're leading others?
Because you need to lead by example. People need to have faith in you, and if you're not confident, it's okay to be soft-spoken. Don't mistake that with a lack of confidence, but knowing that when they come to you with something and then you give them an answer, you're not all wishy-washy about it. You seem as though you have a clear and concise understanding as to what the solution would be to that problem, or you let them know immediately that you're going to get right back to them with the solution.
That's right. And confidence is something that can be built, right?
Yep.
It's similar to emotional intelligence. We talked about how you can continue to develop your emotional intelligence. You can develop your own confidence. It doesn't always come easy, but it's absolutely there for you to build on. But let's stay on the importance of confidence for a second. And what are the downfalls when someone who lacks confidence is put into a leadership role?
Well, I'm a true believer in baptism by fire. So let's not just say that it's bad for people to start off in a leadership position not confident. That is something that it's like a muscle, right? You got to work it. But when people continue to be not confident, their team is not going to be strong. They're going to start doing things that are uncharacteristic of what they would normally do, because they know they can get away with it. They know that their leader they're not strong. So, I mean, if you don't show confidence, and if you're not firm with your word and all of those things, your people aren't gonna, it's not that they don't respect you, but they know that you're not going to hold them accountable for those things.
Well, I would challenge that a little bit and say that there is a good chance that your people won't respect you if you're not confident. If you don't come across as, I believe in myself, I believe in what the team's doing, I know that this is the direction that we need to be heading in, and I know that you people on my team probably know more than I do about the brass tacks of getting it done. If you don't show that confidence, then I would argue that the chance of your team not respecting you is actually going to be greater.
That's true. I will say that, so when I retired from the military, one of my first positions that I held just to get some money flowing into the bank account, I worked at Lowe's. I had a 12-person team, and I'll be honest with you, I had organizational skills, I had leadership skills, I had the whole 9 yards, but I hadn't worked in a retail environment at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very upfront with my team. I'm like, look, the leader of our team has confidence in me that I'm going to be able to help you all perform at a higher level. Here is what I'm going to tell you. I do not know your job. So we are going to work together and I am going to learn. I'm going to get my hands dirty and I'm going to be in it with you until I get to a certain level of proficiency and then watch out.
Right.
But I guess that, you know what, now that I'm saying that out loud, that's confidence.
Yeah, exactly. You were
But
confident in the fact that you didn't know their job.
Yep. So, but if you go to the opposite end of that spectrum and you can tell them that you don't really know what they're doing, but then you don't really make any progress getting to know what they do. You don't really want to be around the team as much because you're like, oh man, I don't want to embarrass myself and the whole 9 yards. You don't show any vulnerability at all. You're just kind of sitting back. I mean, you're typically, a lot of people lead from the office, and that's a lot of times from a lack of confidence. Sometimes it's different than that. They're focused on the tasks and statistics, but a lot of times that happens because of a lack of confidence. People don't
Agreed.
know how to do hard things,
Agreed.
and that's a lack of confidence.
It is, because it's by doing those hard things and proving yourself that you enhance your confidence.
I went in a
Now,
circle there. I don't even think I ever answered your question.
well, so quick side note, at Lowe's, did you have one of those camo vests
I
or
did.
a red one? Because I always thought that the camo vests were set aside for veterans.
Well, so I didn't actually have the vest. I worked for what's called the merchandising service team.
Okay.
And they're the ones who walk around Lowe's in the polos. So I had a camouflage polo.
Got it. Okay.
But yes, I did have the camouflage.
There you go.
And it's weird because it's not your typical camouflage. It's not even camouflage colors. It's a
Yeah.
little greenish, but
Yeah.
it's just the Lowe's symbol over and over and over again.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to pay more attention next time I'm at Lowe's and check out those camo
Or
vests.
when you wear it, you see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what we were talking about, the link between respect and confidence.
Yep.
And if you don't show that confidence, then the chances of your team respecting you or losing respect, in my opinion, is greater.
Yeah.
Because you can come in to a situation and be confident that you don't know what your job is, but convey that in a way that people are going to want to help and pitch in and say, okay, hey, he's brand new here and we're going to teach him the ropes. He's subordinating his ego and letting us know that we're the subject matter experts. He's here to learn from us and lead us. So that is confidence right there. Like, hey, I'm not going to blow smoke and pretend that I know what you guys are doing, because that's going to backfire. You're going to be found out about that. But if you go in zero confidence, people are going to be like, I'm supposed to follow this person? Like, they don't even know what they're doing.
I wouldn't follow them across that field right there.
Exactly.
No, you're right. So when it comes to stuff like that, you want to make sure that so whether you're leading a team to learn and then push them to a new goal, or you're leading that team with the already existing knowledge. I think my dog just knocked something over back there. But whether you're leading them with already existing knowledge, the whole idea behind leadership is that you're confident enough to learn enough that to do what you got to do, and then figure out where you can course correct. And then there's that continuous improvement that you have to work on, actually constantly after that point, because it's not that it's not good enough, but things can always be better because different people require different things. And then everything changes in every kind of business all the time.
That's right. Absolutely true. So for people who don't have confidence or want to become more confident, what are some tips, tricks, things that someone can do that you've helped others to, like, hey, this is how we're going to build your confidence in this situation?
I like the whole idea behind a left seat, right seat ride. And what that is when somebody is just, they're not really feeling real great about what they're doing, and they are just fumbling around because they don't have the ability, because of their confidence, to do it. You go in there, and whether it's 5 or 10 minutes, or maybe a day, and then, you do the job kind of with them,
Mhm.
but you're taking the lead, or you have somebody else do the job with them, but the person that knows the job is taking the lead. And then at some point, whether it's at 10 minutes or it's the next day, you switch positions. So instead of being in the passenger seat while that other person was driving the car, now you're moving over to the driver's seat, and you're going to start driving, and they're going to be there coaching you and providing mentorship to make sure that you get to a certain level of proficiency.
Yep.
Because the whole idea behind practice makes perfect, well, that's how you build confidence. You have to get good enough at something that you believe in yourself enough to do it.
That's right. And the only way to build confidence, true confidence, is by doing things. And it's by knowing that sometimes you're going to fail, sometimes you're going to succeed, but repetition is what's going to build that confidence,
Yep.
because you learn from your failures, or at least you should, right? Okay, that didn't go the way that it was planned. What happened that caused that? So I like to say that for building confidence, let's approach it as a win or learn mentality. It's not win or lose. You're going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. But what do we learn from those mistakes in order to be better next time? And then just keep on doing it. Like, don't allow yourself to stop. Don't throw yourself a pity party because it didn't go the way you thought. You've got to push forward. And that's also where the confidence comes in. It's like, all right, there's resilience here. I just need to dust myself off, pick myself up, and get back on the horse. That is a huge confidence builder. Just keep doing it, right? You're going to get better.
Yep.
You hear athletes talk about this. You hear so many people. Take an NBA player. How many free throws do they practice in the course of their career so that when they're standing on that line in front of whatever 30,000 screaming fans,
All eyes on you.
all eyes are on you, and you're so confident that you block out the noise, or maybe you thrive on that noise and you're just dropping buckets? It's because of all the practice.
It's because of all the practice. In the military, we use the idea of train as you fight. So
Yeah.
if you push forward and you constantly train, uh, and you get good at something, then when you're stressed out at some point, and multiple priorities start coming at you at the same time, those things that you practice on a regular basis, that's the easy stuff. You
Yeah.
could probably close your eyes and get that done, and that breeds a whole new level of confidence in that. But that repetition is what makes you a champion.
That's right. And the saying too is that champions are made in the off season, right?
Yes.
So it's not practicing as it's happening, while that's important, but it's being disciplined to be working on that skill when you're not in the game, when you're
Yep.
not in the season, so that it becomes muscle memory. Like you said, when we always default during a stressful situation, we go into our default settings. But if you have developed that skill, or that way of thinking about something, way of doing something, that it becomes second nature, then that becomes your default setting.
Yep.
So bring on the stress. I know exactly how I'm going to handle that.
Yep. I completely agree. And it's important to build that. But you know, there's also another side to confidence, right? So there's not being enough confidence, or there's not being confident enough. I can't even talk. I think I got my mix all talked up somewhere. Um, there's being confident, and then, you know, sometimes people have been doing the same thing over and over for years, and they get arrogant. So what, instead of subordinating their ego so that they can learn, now they have their ego, and they get real pushy with those people around them.
Yep.
So somebody else might come over and try to help them with a job, and they're a total jerk. Now you have cancer in your in your ranks, and that just makes things very, very hard. And so you got to be careful that as you're building that confidence, that you can keep in mind that you got to keep the super ego up here and the ego kind of close to the chest so that you can put a muzzle on it and tell it to shut the heck up.
That's right. And I'm happy you brought that up because I had that on my notes as well. There's a fine line between confident and cocky.
Yes.
And people spot cocky from a mile away. They can also spot confidence. People are drawn to confident people and they're repelled by cocky people.
Yep.
But it is such a super fine line. You can cross it without even realizing it.
Yep.
And like you said, it's being able to self-reflect, self-recognize, like, am I getting over my skis here where now I feel like I know more than everybody and I don't need to ask for help or perspective or anything like that? That's when you're venturing into that area of cockiness. And people don't want to work for a cocky leader.
No.
They want someone who can take it up to the edge, confidence up to the edge, but understanding where that waterfall is that plunges you into cocky.
Well, and cockiness is where mistakes are made.
Yes.
When you start getting cocky, now somebody's going to come up to you and they're going to say, there's no way near that. Somebody's going to challenge that because they just don't like cocky people.
Yep.
So they're going to challenge you and say, there's no way you're nearly as good as you are, as you say you are with that thing. And they're going to do something like, hold my beer and watch this. And then they're going to do something stupid. They're going to get somebody hurt. They're going to break something. They're going to hurt themselves, whatever the case may be, but mistakes are going to be made.
Yeah. That cocky behavior and attitude almost always ends in something negative.
Yes.
Because you're just being cavalier about everything. Like, I got this. Like, you want me to do 5 backflips off of this ledge? Hold my beer. And guess what? It's only a 10-foot drop. You're not getting 5 backflips, but your cockiness just got you sent to the hospital.
Correct. And I almost equate that to the same thing. We are inadvertently cocky about driving.
Yeah.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
And the reason that I know that we're inadvertently cocky about driving is because sometimes when you're taking your normal route that you take on a day-to-day basis, well, just think about this. How many times have you been driving? Maybe you're listening to the radio, you have your phone on Bluetooth and you just got done having a conversation, and then you're parking in a parking spot and you just think to yourself, wow, that drive went by really fast.
Yeah.
So what if there's a random deer on your route that's not normally there that day? Or maybe there's some stupid person that decides to cut you off in an area where it's usually wide open and you don't have to worry about it. Is that cockiness? Is that complacency going to get you anywhere? It's just absolutely not.
No.
In the military, we had this saying that complacency kills. Complacency is cockiness.
Yes. Just the other night, I was driving, and I know that this one road, there's park on both sides, so it's a straight run. This road cuts the park in half. I know that there's deer activity there all the time, and I'm always on the lookout. But I was kind of zoned out, and I'm like, all right, I don't see any deers. I wasn't scanning deep enough. And then I went over this little hump and my headlights caught 4 deer standing in the road about 100 yards away. I'm like, man, like I need to slow down here because, I'm being complacent and, I definitely hitting a deer is no fun. It's going to wreck my truck.
No. I mean, if you have good enough insurance, now you have to go through the process of using it. Right. If you could potentially get hurt and have to go to the hospital, I mean, you might go to the hospital anyway, just because you hit something with your car and there's the potential of screwing something up when we're in our 40s or 50s.
That's right.
That's a concern.
That's right.
How sometimes I sneeze and it's a bad thing.
Yeah. So, JJ, on a regular basis, there are some things that I like to say to help people build confidence that are small, and I would love to get your feedback and see what you might be able to add to it. But one thing that I like to practice and tell people to practice is making eye contact.
Yes.
When you make eye contact with people, it demonstrates your sincerity, but it also demonstrates that you believe in what you're talking about, you believe in what's going on, and you have a level of confidence. When you're not making eye contact, that's when people are like, what's this person hiding? Why aren't they looking me in the eye? Are they not sure? Right. Which now they're going to assume that you're not confident. But eye contact is a very easy thing that can help you to develop that confidence and demonstrate that confidence.
Yeah. All forms of active listening
Yep.
show that same thing. So often, not just the eye contact, but when you're having a conversation with somebody, or if you're giving them instructions, right? Taking it to that next, when you're giving them instructions specifically, when you take it to that next level, I prefer, after I've told somebody something, especially if it's instructional, that, hey, can you just give me a synopsis real quick of what I just said so that I know we're on the same sheet of music.
Yes.
I call that active instruction. But when you do that, it shows that you care about what they were thinking about when you were saying the thing, and you were also making sure you care about the job, but they expect that same thing in return. So when they respond, you listen to them. And then
That's right.
whatever they said, even if it's talking about cooking macaroni and cheese, you respond to that, because active listening goes both ways and it's relationship building. And so that's another form of confidence, right? They need to be able to trust you as a leader to be able to listen to them, to be able to help them when you need it, and so on and so forth. And so that level of confidence to be able to subordinate your ego and listen and respond to what somebody else is saying is also just as important as the regular confidence itself.
You just used a word there, and it's trust. Is Can trust be affected by confidence, or can confidence help you build trust?
I think it goes both ways. So, you know, first of all, people want to know that they can rely on you.
Mhm.
And when they can, they start to trust you. When you lose that confidence, it means you did something that was out of character, or maybe there are so many ways, but with confidence specifically, I think that destroying trust can come when you get to that certain level of not subordinating your ego anymore, which is really, really easy to do. People go in the workplace these days, people don't trust managers like they should. They don't talk to them. They're always afraid of getting fired. It's just, they're more likely to leave and go to another job than to have a conversation with their manager. And that's unfortunate, but that is bred from a lack of trust.
Yes.
So if you're not confident that that person can handle what you're about to say to them, then you're not going to say it to them at all. And so that goes, we could have probably another conversation just about trust, but absolutely it goes both ways.
Yeah, and confidence is one of those words that has multiple meanings, right? It's internal to you and I. It's how we believe in ourselves and demonstrate that outwardly, but it's also you have to develop the confidence of others, knowing that you do what you say you're going to do, they trust you, that they know that they can come to you in times of need, and they're confident that you're going to be the person that can help them out. So confidence is both internal and external.
And I think I have to do a plug on the mindset behind servant leadership when we bring that point up, because if you don't care about your people that as a whole, and you don't feel like you're in a support role as a manager, then you're not going to have the respect of your people, and they're not going to trust you.
Right.
Your role, and this is what differentiates the manager and the leader, right? The people that lead from the office, the people that don't engage when they're people, they just only engage with them when they screw up or whatever the case may be, or if there's a coaching opportunity, and they do as little as possible so that they can get back to their office.
Mm-hmm.
Those people don't have it. The leader is the person that is always sitting to themselves thinking, what can I do to support Joe Snuffy down on the line? Oh my gosh, there's my coworker over there. My team could probably support him in his role by just doing a little bit extra today. So I think we can do that. Oh, my boss needed this done. Well, I think that I'm going to go and do that, and I'll let my team know, and blah, blah, blah. But the idea that you're there to support everybody else, the only difference than being just the on the ground team member and being the manager is that you're responsible for what all the people on your team are doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you are in the ultimate support role.
Yep.
So I just had to put a plug in on that, because that's probably the most important thing that people don't understand most of the time.
I agree with you. And I know that we're getting close, but one of the other things that I want to mention for people as they're thinking about confidence, we talked about repetition, we talked about practice, but preparation. When you just try to wing something, number one, you're not going to be as confident as you could be. And number two, it's going to come across. People are going to see that, like, he just pulled that out of his ass and he didn't give any prior thought to it. There was no preparation behind this. But when you take the time to prepare, no matter how much you know about a topic. And so, for example, before we do any of these leadership lives, I'm putting some notes together. I am preparing. Now, I talk about these topics all the time with clients. You and I talk about leadership stuff. So it's not like I couldn't pull these things out of thin air. But when you prepare, even with your expertise, then like, all right, I can ad lib if I need to, but I've got my notes. I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. So preparation really helps you to build that confidence and to come across as knowing what the hell you're talking about. Oh, I just lost your volume.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what happened, but it just automatically muted for some reason. No, and actually we didn't talk about what we were going to discuss, except for the fact that we were going to discuss confidence today before this call. I did the same thing. And you know what? I did a little bit of research on what I thought would be good things to talk about. I looked at some trending things to make sure we hit on topics that people would actually want to hear rather than what I want to say. And I have a feeling that's why a couple different times during this conversation, we were synced up. Oh, I was getting ready to bring that up. Right. That sort of thing. I mean, it's when you prepare, it's obvious. I prefer to go off the cuff, but I still have a list of things that we need to talk about on this call because it's just important. I care about the people in the audience that much. I don't want to just get on air and hear myself talk. I love talking to Chris, but that's not the point of it all. This is an education platform here. And I want to make sure that Chris and I, both of us, we are providing value.
That's right. And, preparation is so important. I mean, I think about, I come from a family of carpenters and construction workers, and we built a porch on the front of my house. My dad, my uncle, my cousin, all helped me build this thing. They are all professionals. I am not, but they could build that porch with their eyes closed. but they were prepared. All right, what tools do I need to bring with me? Do you have the lumber? Do you know, boom, 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 boom. Let's prepare before we start doing anything. And there was no question when we were going to get this finished, what it was going to look like, confidence all around, resulting out of that preparation and planning.
I think that should be our next topic, preparation and planning. That would be an excellent topic to discuss, because that helps you with everything. You're able to problem solve more quickly. You can be more confident when you know that you have all the tools to do the job. And if you don't, chances are you can still make it work. And I mean, the preparation and planning is just probably the most instrumental thing you can do in a business to make sure that things run smoothly. So I think that's a great thing to discuss.
Well, then we're going to tee that up on the list, JJ.
Let's do it, man.
So I know that we're about a minute over here, but any closing thoughts before we wrap up this week's episode of Leadership Live?
Yes. Don't get to the point where you are so confident in something that you're cocky, but make sure you're confident enough to be able to help solve problems, because as leaders, it is our job to make sure that when somebody comes to us, that they believe in us enough to be able to provide answers for them. And that's really all I have to say about confidence.
Awesome. And what I will follow that up with is do difficult things. Do it over and over again so that it becomes second nature. That is also where your confidence is going to come from. You believe that you can do these things no matter what the stress level is. It becomes your default setting because you have practiced and overcome doing difficult things. And that's going to help you with your confidence.
Train as you fight. Huh. Let's go.
Train as you fight, and keep learning as you go. And with that, from JJ Hardy and from me, everyone, have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you on the next Leadership Live.